ahead and get started.
Okay.
Today is September 18th,
Yeah.
2020. I'm John Lee with the St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association, and we're here with glad to be here with our weekly update with Kathie Davis from Davis Travaglini, LLC. Kathie, what can you enlighten us with this week?
Well, I was just talking to Chris, and we don't have a lot that's new. Jefferson County seems to be boinging back and forth between being open and closed. St. Charles seems to be pretty firmly open for right now. The city has gone to phase 2, but they're still not doing in-person hearings except for, very specific kinds of cases. And the county is doing well with the Zoom dockets and hearings, at least with our judge in our division, but they still have the total freeze on any kind of evictions. I know some of you have kicked in some funds for our writ. It is almost done. It's taking longer to do than we thought because it's the first time we've done a writ. I've done some appellate work, but this is our first writ, and we've gotten some great help, but we keep adding more good arguments and finding more law. And since we don't really we probably won't get a chance to have oral argument or anything, we're trying to throw everything into our brief for the Court of Appeals. We expect to file it Monday. We have one of the things that slowed us down a little bit is stuff that's helpful, but it's added more things into the mix. We've been looking at a very interesting opinion from a judge in Pennsylvania that struck down a lot of COVID stays there, not specifically an eviction one, but a lot of other ones. And that judge had some great language in his opinion doing that. And we've also been monitoring a TRO that was filed in Atlanta to stay the CDC eviction stay. I don't think that's been ruled on yet, but I haven't looked at it today. But both of those sources gave us more good language and information that we have been adding to our writ. So our writ is going to be long, but we want to cover all the bases. Our backup plan, if the writ doesn't work, is a federal court lawsuit, but we'd really like the writ to work. I originally thought we had maybe a 25% chance of winning on the writ. Now I think that's up to over 50. And Greg Anderson, who's working on it with me, is even more positive about it than I am. But, my big hesitation about it is I feel like one of our local Court of Appeals judges, and the writ judge is Judge Robert Dowd, he might be reluctant to tell Judge Burton, no, you can't run your court this way. So I think our weakness is not in the law, our weakness is in those personal relationships. We have a very tight-knit legal community here in the St. Louis area. It's different than a lot of places I hear because we're all close with our judges too. We all go to, of course we don't do it now, but we go to social functions together. There's a feeling of camaraderie usually. I miss that. I miss being at the courthouse, but it also means that people don't want to step on each other's toes. So we've got that to overcome. But we're hoping to get that writ on file Monday and to get a quick ruling. It's not something that should take months and months. The writ judge should rule on it within a few days. And our writ judge, Robert Dowd, who's also the chief judge of the Court of Appeals of the Eastern District right now, is one of us because when I first appeared in front of him, he was in Division 27 doing landlord court in the city. So he gets it. He started out in the ranks, and, has been there with tenant after tenant coming up and lying and, and not paying and that kind of thing. So he's not going to be unfriendly to our position. We also feel like at this point, we're all existing with this virus now. I mean, is anybody still locked in their house, never going out? No. We're going to the grocery store. We're getting our hair cut, thank God. I've been to the gym, although I decided not to do outdoor water aerobics this morning. It was just too cold for me. Mm-hmm. But I'll be glad when October comes and they move inside for that. I mean, I think we're not necessarily in normal lives, but we're existing and we're getting things done. by failing to allow any evictions at all, the court is really taking away your property rights without due process of law.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what's going on. I can't think of anything else. Does anybody have any questions about anything?
I have one.
Hey, Dwayne.
What a shock, huh? The CDC process that we talked about last week, that they have to come and prove all this, is that still in effect?
Yes.
Or is this, when you said there's no evictions, period?
Well, that is in the county, and that's a county presiding judge order that the sheriffs are not allowed to execute writs of possession. We can still file suits and get judgments. The CDC stay, the tenant lawyers would have you believe that you can't even file or do anything. We don't agree with that. We have a concern. You know, they have to, John, did I send you the copy of the CDC thing?
Yes, you did.
Okay,
Yes,
is it posted on your site?
Yes.
Okay, it's long, it's like 37 pages,
Mhm.
but if you go to the very end, there's a sample declaration that the tenants are supposed to sign.
Right.
And it goes through, and they have to say that they've been trying to pay, they've been making partial payments, they've applied for help, you know, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
We've only had a couple get turned in to our clients so
Mhm.
far.
Mhm.
We are telling clients now that if they turn it in before we file suit, we're a little bit stuck. If they turn it in after they file suit, then we can have a hearing and question them about whether these allegations are truthful. You know, where have you applied for aid? You know, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
If they turn it into you before suit is on file, it might be a violation to file suit just because they've turned it in. We have one case with that Christine had, and the CDC order is only staying rent evictions. It's not staying evictions for cause. The one that Christine had, she has a cause to evict. They have unauthorized occupants, so we're going that route, and then we don't have to worry about that affidavit or that stay. But if you're teetering on the fence about whether to file now, you might want to file before they give you one of these declarations, so that you can at least have the benefit of having a court hearing on it and making them say under oath, you know, all these things, asking them these questions. I feel like people who haven't paid rent at all in months are not going to be able to qualify under that affidavit.
Mhm.
If they have applied for help, why haven't they gotten it? I think there's a problem in the city and the county with people who have applied for this help when the funds are supposedly there and the funds aren't being dispersed. But, you know, let's get some proof that you've actually applied for it, and, you know, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
I think I told this to John before, or did I say this to all of you guys? I can't remember now. I have corona brain. There's a lawsuit in Atlanta that we're following, that they've filed to do a temporary restraining order, staying the CDC order. I haven't looked at it today, but we're following that to see if that gets ordered. It's in a federal court, so a stay there is something that we would all benefit from if they get it. I don't know anything about that court or that judge. The judge on the opinion that we've been looking at from Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, where he struck down a lot of COVID stay orders, is a name that's very familiar to me. And I grew up in Pittsburgh, and I think maybe I went to a girls' school for high school, and I think his dad went to our brother's school. But anyway, it's a very well-written opinion, and we're using a lot of that language in our writ that we're getting ready to file.
Okay,
So
thanks.
if you get a CDC declaration from a tenant, call us or call your lawyer and tell them, you know, what it says, and we'll see.
Okay. What is a writ? I've been around a while, and
I
I've heard the
know.
word writ, but I don't know what it means
Well,
when you're doing a writ.
it's a request for relief, and in the situation where we are filing for the writ to get the execution started again in the county, it's what they call a writ of mandamus, where we're going to the Court of Appeals asking them to mandate the county judges to allow the executions to go forward. Not to be confusing, but the executions, once you've filed your eviction and you've gotten your judgment and you're filing for the sheriff, that's also technically called a writ of execution. So we're doing a writ of mandamus to the Court of Appeals to make the county issue writs of execution. There are some other kinds of writs that, you know, you don't even think about them being called writs, but like you've probably heard of habeas corpus. That's technically a writ. Replevin, which is where you like repo a car or something, that's a writ of replevin. So this is my first writ to the Court of Appeals.
Okay. I thought writ was country talk for right.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Take a writ turn at the crossroads.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else have we got, guys?
Any questions? You're doing a great job keeping us updated, Kathie. Thank you for explaining the writ too. Thank you for the question,
Sure.
Maureen. That's I know I kind of understand it a little bit, but I know a lot of people don't. And even if you do know a little, it's so helpful to be, you know, just to be told, you know.
Well, if we didn't use the fancy jargon, we couldn't charge you the big bucks, right?
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Just as a side issue, I listened to an ARP program yesterday, first one I've ever listened to, and there was a financial advisor who stated flat out categorically that all evictions have been halted until the 1st of January.
Where did he go to law school?
Right.
I called in and was going to suggest what we were told, and never got an answer. So I suspect that they had it loaded with people to ask the questions they wanted to answer.
Yeah.
Not that I'm biased, but I didn't see anything.
I was in a call with a couple of county judges and some tenant lawyers the other day, and the tenant lawyers were saying the same thing. Oh, you can't evict at all. And I was like, no, I've actually read this thing from the CDC and we can. Yeah. And if your tenants are going to sign this declaration under penalty of perjury and it's going to be false, then, you know, they're under penalty of perjury. And then they were taking the position they want the judges to make us have our clients file an affidavit in all evictions saying that they haven't gotten this declaration and that it has to be notarized. And I said, well, the declaration the tenants file doesn't have to be notarized, does it? Why should we have all the burden? The burden is on the tenants right now. They have to file the declaration. Unless and until they do, we don't have to do anything except go about our normal business, file our lawsuit, and, you know, proceed. And I think it's unfortunate that the word isn't getting out, because that's going to cause people who probably could otherwise either get aid or pay some of their rent to quit doing it because they think they're safe, and they're not going to be safe.
Great point.
Yes, I think you're correct. And you guys are handling one for us now that's they're tearing the place up, and that's why we're getting rid of them. And Chris says that's fine. We can go forward. So
is he doing
yes.
like a 441?
I don't know. I'm not that close to it anymore.
Okay, well, I'll ask him. But yeah, in the city, if it's in the city,
yes,
yeah, they're letting us, you know, the judge there carved out an exception for those 441s, which is where the tenant's doing criminal activity or, you know, that kind of thing, the expedited evictions. So at least that's a little more reasonable than the county's position.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Dwayne. It's nice to see you.
Good to see you.
It's nice to see anybody, right?
Right. Wow.
Yeah. So anybody else got anything? If not, I'm going to let you get to your next part, because we are close on this writ and I want to get back to work on it. So everybody good? We'll see you next Friday.
Thank you so much, Kathie. We
Thanks.
so much appreciate this more than you ever know. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thanks.